Hey guys, welcome back to my channel. The Suicide Squad is now out in theaters and on HBO Max. I actually saw this movie a couple of days ago, but I didn't review it because I wasn't sure how I felt about the movie. I knew I liked it, but I didn't know how much I liked it. So that's why I decided I was gonna rewatch it again and then review it. So now I have seen the movie 2 times. Now I know for sure how I feel about it. So before I tell you guys what I thought about it, let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of the Suicide Squad? And how do you think it compares to the first one? And how do you think it ranks in the DCEU? I'd love to know your thoughts. With that said, let's get started talking about it. And I thought this movie was really good. It's just a really fun time and it is an absolute blast. And I see myself rewatching this movie quite a bit. I think James Gunn's direction works really well for this movie because he directed Guardians of the Galaxy, and this movie is kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy. It works really well. This is kind of a R-rated version of Guardians of the Galaxy, and because of that it's able to get away with a lot of things, and I think that made the movie really enjoyable and a really good experience overall. I think the story is quite strong, and throughout the whole movie I was invested in what's going on. There was a issue I had with one of the side quests in the movie, but that's a minor detail. I think for the most part the story was really strong and it flowed really well throughout the whole thing. I think the soundtrack for the movie was great. James Gunn is usually really good with soundtracks. Guardians of the Galaxy, of course, is one of the best soundtracks of the last decade. And I'd say this movie's soundtrack is on par with Guardians of the Galaxy. I really liked it, and it fit the tone of the movie really well. I think most of the action was really well done. There was specifically one action scene with Harley Quinn, which I really loved. I'm not going to spoil anything, but be sure to be on the lookout for that. It's probably the best action scene in the whole movie. It was really good. I really liked all the characters. I think all of them were really well done and fit the movie really well, had a purpose in the movie, and every single one of them felt like they were important and needed for the story. King Shark was a standout for me. He was a whole lot of fun, and I think Sylvester Stallone was perfect as the voice of King Shark. He just had a really fun personality, and the way he talked, the style of humor that he had in the movie, just all of it worked really well. And he even got a small character arc about friendship in the movie, and I enjoyed it. I think it worked really well, and everything, just James Gunn pulled it off really well with his character. Another standout for me was Polka Dot Man. Like, this is a really obscure, insane character that's really weird, but James Gunn pulled it off really well. I think the acting was really good, and even his little story that he gets, his backstory. It's really funny, but it's really disturbing at the same time, and there's some really fun stuff done with his character, and I really enjoyed the arc he gets by the end of the movie. I thought Harley Quinn was quite good as well. She does get a side quest in the movie, which is what I was talking about previously. And I thought the side quest could have been pulled into the story a little bit better because it didn't fit into the movie that well. In general, I think it's a pretty fun side quest, but I feel like it could have fit into the movie a little bit better if they just tweaked the story a little bit. I thought Peacemaker was quite good as well. John Cena was pretty good at playing the role. I'd say this was John Cena's best performance of the stuff I've seen him in, and I'm really excited to see the Peacemaker show after this movie. But my top 3 favorite characters in the movie were Ratcatcher 2, Rick Flag, and Bloodsport. I think all 3 of them, really good characters, really good character arcs, and specifically with Ratcatcher 2, she gets a little bit of backstory and a little story with her dad, and it's done in a way where just it works really well, and by the end of the movie it pays off really well, and you see how her dad has left an impact on her and how she loves him. It just really works really well, and I feel like it's one of the best storylines of the movie. Rick Flag is one of those characters in the first movie where he just didn't work. He was a pretty bad character, and he was just kind of there to give exposition to us.
This is Katana. She's got my back. I would advise not getting killed by her. Her sword traps the souls of its victims.
But here, he plays a really important role, and his moral compass kind of comes into play at the end of the movie, like kind of in the 3rd act. And the way it's done, the way it's executed, it really feels gut-wrenching and you really care about his character. So I loved his character in the movie, and Bloodsport was really good as well. I think Idris Elba gave a really good performance. In general, he had a really cool style to him. His look was really cool. He got some really nice standout action sequences, and he was kind of the leader of the whole thing. And I feel like that worked really well. He was a really, really good leader. I thought the movie was also really funny and the jokes were on point most of the time. There were some small jokes here and there that didn't work, but most of the jokes I think were on point, made me laugh a lot throughout the whole film. Now, I don't think the movie is perfect. I did have some issues with it. I do think like the Harley Quinn side quest, they could have tied it into the story a little bit better. There were some minor writing problems, but there was only one big issue that I had that really holds the movie back from being almost perfect. And this issue, when I'm going to talk about it, I'm going to talk about it with spoilers. So if you haven't seen the movie yet, just skip over this little black and white segment or just mute it until it's over. So that way the movie doesn't get spoiled for you. Alright, so the scene I'm talking about is the scene where Bloodsport and Peacemaker kind of go on a rampage and kill a bunch of people in the forest. At the end of the scene, it's revealed that all of them are innocent. They're just random freedom fighters. They're not really bad guys. And it's treated as a joke, and I found that very disturbing and very dark. First off, I don't think it should have been treated as a joke, and I feel like it should have had consequences for our characters, but it doesn't, because the freedom fighters that live, they just kind of joined the Suicide Squad anyway. And that really bugged me, and I feel like at least if they found a small way to make it better, like maybe the remaining ones actually don't join them and instead they kind of go off on their own adventure, and at the end of the movie maybe they kind of join together, I feel like that would have made more sense. Because of that, I feel like the movie just kind of left a bad taste in my mouth. I feel like they could have found a way to make it a little less disturbing and maybe not put a bad taste in my mouth. I really feel like they did a bad job with that one scene. That was the only scene that I had a big issue with. The rest of the movie, really, really good. So as you saw with my review, I'm really positive on this movie. I think it's one of James Gunn's best movies. It's on par with Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 1. I'm not as big of a fan of Volume 2, but I do think this movie's just as good as Guardians of the Galaxy. And I really hope this thing gets a sequel, and I'm excited for the Peacemaker show because it's kind of a spin-off off of this movie. Time for my final score, and I'm going to give this movie an A-. On an entertainment scale, it's a 9 out of 10. The only reason it's not higher is because of that one scene that I talked about with spoilers. But other than that, this was a really solid movie, and if you haven't seen it yet and you're looking for a recommendation, I'd say definitely check it out. I really like it, but you have to be able to handle a lot of gore because the movie's R-rated and it's very, very bloody. Thank you so much for watching my video, guys. Let me know down below in the comments, what did you think of the Suicide Squad if you have seen it? If you enjoyed my review, be sure to leave a like. It really helps me out, and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I'll see you in the next video. Bye-bye.